Hey everyone, welcome to the free Get Started Podcasting YouTube course. My name is Robert Garza. You're going to see these videos in front of all the modules, urging you to watch the channel trailer first. That way you have a really good idea of who I am, what the course is all about, when the course was recorded, why I have a scraggly beard in the course versus how it looks now. And if you like the videos, make sure you like the videos. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. And most importantly, let me know in the comments what the name of your podcast is, what podcast I'm helping you start or that you maybe just started and this course is helping you finish. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM on Instagram at RobGTV. If the videos refer to any links for equipment or suggestions for software, they will be in the description as well. Let's have some fun, and I'll see you back here on the channel regularly every week. All right, everyone, you've come a long way. We've discussed a lot of things in these videos. We've learned a lot of things. We're getting the wheels in motion, and now we're going to add the final biggest component of everything, and that is your podcast host. So when you've got everything done, everything's edited, exported, sounds great, you like what you have, you need to upload it somewhere. There's tons of podcast hosts out there, but the original one, the OG, the granddaddy of them all is Lipson, and that's what we're going to dive into here in a second. I've been using that one since I started. The biggest podcasters in the world use Lipson. You could explore other options if you really want to. If you start learning about things like or Blueberry, I think it is, Buzzsprout, Podbean. There's tons of companies that will do this for you. But Lipson it's been around the longest. It's trusted by the biggest podcasts in the world, and it gives you everything you need for a really low barrier to entry. You could start for as low as $5 a month. So a lot of you may not have known you have to pay for that. You have to pay for a company to host all of your audio files, and then they also distribute it to iTunes, Spotify, and that's how you set everything up. They give you a RSS feed that goes out, and we'll get into that part as well. But you have to pick a host. I suggest Lipson. That's just going to be my suggestion. I'm going to walk you through it, so it's going to be the easiest for you guys to follow along anyway. So let's dive right in. All right, everyone. We are at the Lipson homepage here at the sign-up page. As you can see here, they have a variety of choices. Earlier, I said you could start for as low as $5, and that gets you 50 megabytes. So on average, at about 96 kilobytes per second of a podcast, if you've exported at that capacity, it's about 25 megabytes per hour, if I'm not mistaken. That's about the average, depending if it's mono, stereo. But if you just follow what we've done so far in these videos, it'll be between 25 and 50 megabytes per hour. So a lot of people, for starters, will do half-hour shows. Just saying that because people that I've known, you could start off and want to do hour, 2-3 hour podcasts, and that's cool too. You just have to buy your host usage, accordingly. You can start for $5 because you can change this at any point. So just start with the $5 one, set up your account, set up all the information, submit your trailer because the trailer is only a couple seconds to a minute. I think the trailer that I did with the missus for our podcast, which I'll show you once we get into the dashboard, I started at, I think, $5. And then the trailer got approved, and we started uploading our episodes. And the way that I suggested doing it was recording about 3 to 5 episodes. That way, when you start promoting it, there's something that people can binge on. So our podcasts tend to average about 40 to 45 minutes. And you'll find your groove, and we'll probably end up going longer, but you'll find your groove for whatever it is, the type of show that you've chosen to do, whatever the format is. You can just upgrade like instantly. I need more megabytes or I need more space, and you can just upgrade, and that's it. So let's dive into the dashboard, set this up, pick the $5 one, like so, and then set up all of your information, credit card info, your name, and subscription tier. Here's some more tiers. You could always change this later. Promo code, maybe you could search the web. I don't have a promo code for you, but you can maybe search the web for a promo code of some sort. Accept the terms of service, and I'll see you on the inside. And you're in. Congratulations, you have your Lipson account. You are one step closer to being a full-fledged podcaster. So from here, first thing I want you to do is go into your settings. So this is your dashboard, the front dashboard, where you'll see how much usage you've used, how much or how your stats are located in there, and your stats snapshot for downloads. But I want you to click on Settings, Edit Show Settings. Now, your edit show settings are going to be basically what people see on your iTunes listing. So if they go look for your podcast, like this one, for instance, is The Blondie and the Beard, which is what I do with me and the missus. It's a relationship podcast. It's a comedic styled podcast where it's about relationships, dating, marriage, kids, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that topic, go subscribe and drop me a like, do all that fun stuff, give it a rating and review, or just check it out. Maybe use it as an example. Like, this is something that she's never done before. and wanted to do a podcast. I had, like I spoke about earlier, and you've found out way before you signed up for this course, I was doing a podcast for a very long time. I've worked with a lot of podcasters, and I hadn't had anything that I was working on currently. So this is a project her and I are doing that we're enjoying very much. And yeah, check it out if you like. So I want you to fill everything out here that's applicable. You want your show name. The show description is going to be what comes up under your name. So when you go to the Daily or the Joe Rogan Experience, it has the description of the show, what it is, gives listeners an idea of what they're about to tune into if they don't already know. Your website address here is actually something that's just generated by Lipson, and I'll show you. It's one of the destinations you can have up here where it says destinations. I'll show you in just a second. But show type, so episodic or serial. Most people are going to start episodic shows, which is basically it's just an episode after an episode. It's not an actual serial type of podcast like Serial. We have to listen in order to find out about the murder or the case or whatever the story is. Now, category is super important as well. The category is going to be, you want to make sure that your category is as specific to the show's format itself so that iTunes knows where to put it. If you're doing a sports podcast, you don't want to choose society, culture, relationships because that doesn't apply. That's not going to be your audience there, and it's not going to give you the best chance of getting discovered by people that are interested in the format that you have created. So make sure you choose the most appropriate and the most accurate spot-on category to your show. It's very, very important. Public contact email. So if you want to shoot us an email, it's blondieandthebeardpodcast@gmail.com. I suggest you set yours up and put it in there. Some of these things, once we go and submit it to iTunes, it'll tell you you have to have this in your show settings or we can't submit your podcast. And one of those things is going to be the owner name, the author name. And I believe the email is mandatory too in one of these fields. Might as well just put them in both. It's something that's going to be public anyway, so make sure it's just like something you don't mind fans or listeners of the podcast having. So make sure you fill out the name, emails, authors, content rating. If it's explicit, it's explicit. If not, keep it clean. Some people might say that it helps to have a clean show. But I mean, what's the point of being clean if you don't want to be a clean podcast? So go with whatever the show's about. You know your language, some key tag words, phone number. I've never found that to be applicable. I don't want a phone number to be public. And if I did, I'd say it on the podcast that they can call the Google number or make call-ins or whatever. Your cover art. Your show cannot be submitted without an artwork. So we haven't really discussed that yet. I'll actually touch on that in a separate video that you will have watched either before or after this. I'm not sure yet. But you need to have this before you can submit the podcast. So most people I know that are excited about a show already have an idea for artwork for some kind of concept, a name, a color scheme, maybe actually a logo itself. So as long as you just follow iTunes requirements, which is a 3,000 by 3,000 pixel square, you're good to go. You can really easily go on canva.com, which is a free website, free service, and just create your artwork there. And you can change this anytime too. So if you're like, man, I want something like this. Like we got this done on Fiverr. Went to Fiverr and had found somebody that does podcast artwork. And it's kind of, as you can see, it's like cartoony portraits of ourselves, I guess they're called, cartoony logo. And it took about 2 or 3 days, I think, for the person to get it back to us. Made a few revisions, and it was probably like $40, something like that, $50. And that's what we used. So if you don't necessarily want to wait that long before you submit your show, just go to Canva, make something that's 3,000 by 3,000 with the name or the color, or just start playing with it. Maybe you're already familiar with it, or have a friend do it and save that as your artwork for now. It is super important that you get something that's eye-catching so that when people are scrolling in that category, maybe someone's looking for a new show, they'll see your artwork. They'll see the name. They'll be like, oh, I want to check that out. Everything else here is really, widescreen image doesn't matter. Directory theme, that's all on you. White's fine with me. And then external links. These are links that will also be available to listeners to find on your destination page, and I believe on your iTunes listing as well. So now that you've edited your show settings, let's actually upload the trailer that we did. So in order to do that, we're going to go to content. We're going to click on content, and we're going to add a new episode. I'm going to add one, but I'm going to do it I'm not going to publish it. I'm just going to do this all as an example for you guys. This is the flow that you'll get used to in Lipson when it comes to uploading a podcast and having Lipson do the rest. It's numbered. It makes it super easy. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. 4 steps. Advanced, really never going to be applicable. Unless you really want to change something specific, extra tags or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going to start with the media. You're going to find your media wherever you put it, whatever file it is, and we're going to upload that either from your hard drive or usually it's going to be on your hard drive. You can have it saved on your computer, obviously. So just select upload from hard drive. Blondie and the Beard. Let's go ahead and do, let's see, was it in the intro one? Intro. So we have a finished intro here that I'll upload. It's super short, so you can see it processes very fast. So the intro's up, it tells you right there, uploaded successfully. You can actually click preview here, so you can preview the sound that listeners will be getting. If you ever need to make a change to it, which is really cool, you can actually, let's say you need to make a change or edit something out or in, you can go to replace here and you can actually just swap out, take one file out, put the other file in, and it'll update automatically. Of course, keep in mind that if people already downloaded it on their phones, they're already going to have the file that you just removed from Lipson. So try to upload the originally the thing that you want out there. Then it's just step by step. Go to details, which is number 2. Here's where you'll put your title and then a description. The description I always choose to be pretty similar to the previous show. Maybe if you have a guest, you can add the guest name, some links. This is all the description that'll be under the artwork. So if you're familiar to iTunes or any app, there's always a description under the logo. So if you just swipe like show notes with links and affiliate links or whatever you want to add, will go there. Categories more so for Lipson. Just categories you can split different episodes by. If it's about relationships or if it's about money, finance, you can actually create your own category for the web, like the web-based kind of reasoning, but it's not really important. I always just leave it at general. Not a ton of people are listening to podcasts on their computers. This Apple Podcast optimization page, don't really need to mess with the title because it's going to go off of what you have up here. The podcast summary, don't really mess with that. Now this one, because we're uploading a trailer for the first time, click trailer, and the rest of the time it's just going to be a full normal episode. That way, when people go to the podcast that you're promoting right now, this new show, and they go to the feed, once it gets accepted, they'll see a trailer, and it'll always be there so that people click on that ideally first so they can find out about you and the show. So for this one, we're going to select trailer. The rating again, I know we did it earlier in the show settings, but I always double click it. Like it's already set in the initial settings, but I always, for every episode, make sure that the rating's explicit if it is. I don't want any kind of mix-up to happen, and then it doesn't have an explicit E on it on iTunes. People are listening to it and they complain or they send some kind of report to iTunes like this show has swear words or whatever, and it's not clean the way it claims to be. So just make sure you do that. Then we're going to go to artwork. We're going to upload new artwork here on the thumbnail. The widescreen image doesn't really matter. It's just as long as you have a thumbnail. And I know we have that also in our show notes, but here's where you can actually add a different file, a different photo, a different file. Let's say that you want to highlight a specific person or an image for that show. Like you have a specific person from a specific city and you want to highlight them. You could just change it for that specific episode as the background that people will see on their phones. When people share the episode, that'll be what pops up. I always just stick with our logo. I put the same image there that I have for the logo of the show, which is Blondie and the Beard. It's going to be under pictures, and then I'll have it saved as final cover art. That uploads there. Once that uploads, one more step. Boom. Go to scheduling. Here, once you hit publish, it is published live on Lipson on the internet, and people could find it whenever you give them the Lipson link for the show, which is good. That's where we want to start. In order to submit a podcast, it's got to have something on the host. You can't just submit a feed with no audio. It doesn't work that way. So that's why we recorded a trailer, so that you would have something on the internet, on your host, on Lipson, that iTunes can then pull from and say, okay, this is a podcast, it has an RSS feed, and it has audio already on it. Let's approve it. If you needed to, and this is what I do, you're going to upload stuff, in advance so that you don't have to do it the night of or you're frantically doing it the morning of. Basic release expiration here, the date. So instead of releasing immediately on publish, we're going to select a new release date. Here you can just choose, like I always do it Sunday nights, or if I edit it earlier, for whatever reason, days earlier, I'll just make sure to select the date that I want it to come out. So this, let's just say this trailer was going to go up Monday. So Monday the 20th, we'd select a time. I tend to just do any time in the morning, like let's just say 2 a.m. Most people are asleep. So by the time people wake up, it'll be on their phones, already downloaded, and they'll be ready to go. Never expire, so you just want to always make sure that's on. You don't want to set a new release publish date and then have it disappear at a certain time, just never expire. And then you would publish it. So it's going to be, let's just do this for the video's sake. New release. I'm going to release it on Monday and publish. But instead of publishing it, I'm just going to save it as a draft. That way it actually doesn't. Problem has been detected with the following fields as submitted. Oh, my details? I didn't put anything in details, did I? Oh, yeah. You got to put a title and you got to put a description there. Well, you don't have to put a description, but you have to have a title, a show title. So you get the point. If I had a title there like trailer. Oops. Let's do that again. Trailer. Trying to do that with one hand. And I didn't even spell it right. Now, if I went to scheduling and I saved it as a draft, it would work. And now, as you can see, it saved it as a draft. If I hit published, it would have saved it as a published trailer, but we don't want that. I don't want that for this feed. And there you go. We have set up a Lipson page. We have set up our show settings. We have actually published some content on Lipson. Now, another thing I want to show you before we go from this video is your destination. So if you click on destinations, here is where you'll see this right here is your RSS feed. So this is the granddaddy link right here that you're going to submit to iTunes here shortly. And you can actually just copy this, copy. This is the page I was talking about earlier where you were setting, category tags if you wanted to. If you click that, it's a website that comes with your Lipson page, basically where people can go and listen to the podcast from the browser. So if they're in an office or anywhere, they can get it right there. It has, your email link, has the RSS feed, and it has listen on Spotify, those links that were at the end of the show settings as well. And that's just something I wanted to show you guys. But this, we're going to come back to this. You can actually just go ahead and copy it now, and then I'll show you where you're going to be submitting it right after this.